What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the TradeMarke. We have got an awesome guest with us this week. We've got Jill Villejoin. Did I get that right?
Close enough.
Let's just call her Jill.
Taken, so everybody has trouble with it.
Well, we're super excited to dig in today. She's got a just tremendous background in marketing, especially in the trades and the home service industry. So this should be a really good episode, and we are super excited. So let's go ahead and dive in.
Step into the TradeMarke, your go-to podcast for everything marketing in the trades. Hosted by award-winning industry marketing experts Sarah Gerardo from Remarketable and Eric Thomas from Rival Digital. Together, we're here to unite the worlds of trades and marketing, bringing you insights, stories, and strategies from the heart of the industry. Whether you're a trade professional, a marketing expert, or somewhere in between, this is the place for you.
So it is May 17th. I'm sure by the time this airs, we'll be getting kind of close to one of my personal favorite holidays, and that is Memorial Day weekend. And I like Memorial Day weekend so much because it's kind of like the unofficial kickoff to summer, especially if you're in, heating and air conditioning. It's kind of like that's when everyone kind of battens down the hatches and gets ready to go like crazy for a few months. So with that said, our little icebreaker question for today, in honor of Memorial Day weekend, is hot dog a sandwich?
Yes. It's anything between two pieces of bread. So I'd say yes. And the tacos were actually just officially labeled sandwiches too. So
really?
The things I don't know, and I just learned, but it makes sense. But so would you throw taco meat in between two pieces of bread?
It would be a sloppy Joe, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
There you go, Jill. You're on it.
So yeah, like taco meat with ketchup. That's a sloppy Joe.
Well, I am from South Louisiana, and food is my hobby. So
yeah, she was telling us all about the good food to go to in New Orleans. And we were like, oh, okay. So really great. So Jill, tell us a little bit about your background and how you came about being a marketer in the trades.
Well, so I actually grew up in the trade industry. My dad owns his own electrical company. And so the youngest of four daughters, and he, instead of teaching us the electrical side, even though I do know how to install lights and fans, he taught us the business side. And so grew up with home service in my home. And for my career, I got my start in marketing with Curves Fitness franchises. So my background is franchise marketing. I started out, my first job in life ever was at a Curves location. Was trained well, solid process, and ended up working for the corporate office at 19 years old while I was still in college, traveling around North America, teaching people how to market fitness. And so eventually that transformed into finding a franchisor in my backyard here in South Louisiana. So System Forward and fitness and home service are very, very similar industries. And home service has always been near and dear to my heart because of my dad. So it's a perfect fit.
That's awesome. And so System Forward, tell us a little bit more about System Forward and the franchise that you're working with right now.
Sure. So System Forward America was created about 30 years ago. And the first franchise brand is Papa Lock Locksmiths. And there's about 250 location owners throughout North America. It's our oldest brand. We're known for locksmithing and saving kids in locked cars. So very, very, that is our oldest veteran brand. And then Temperature Pro was created several years back. Temperature Pro is our HVAC brand. And we have currently about 35 locations nationwide, growing rapidly. And getting all of them up on Service Titan and and integrated and using it as much as possible.
Nice. And so what kind of revenue size are you seeing with the 35 different brands? I know there's a big revenue number that you're hitting, but like what are you looking for when you go after, I guess purchasing or wanting to have them be a part of the franchise?
Right. So all of our locations, our model is a little different. We actually approach it from a business expertise standpoint. And so find people that can like run the business and actually have no home service background typically. They're more business focused or marketing focused. And we teach them recruitment and how to hire the best of the best skilled tradespeople. And so all of our locations are greenfield locations, brand new, start from scratch. We like to do things the difficult way, evidently. So we enter a market with absolutely zero existence and grow it from there. And so typically a majority of our locations are anywhere from 3 to 5 million because we're relatively new, but like I said, growing quickly. So we
Yeah.
can get them scaled up pretty fast.
Yeah. And so what does a marketing plan really look like when you go in and enter a new market, brand new? Like what does that look like? And who implements it?
Yeah, great question. So we have several strategies, but the first thing we do is we work with the new franchisees to help develop their strategic marketing plan because we have it built out about 80% of the way. But whenever a new location comes in, we want to customize it for their location and really focus in on we get even down to the neighborhoods and the zip codes that we're going to be targeting. And so and to put it very simplistically, step one, they just have to exist. So onboarding, existing on Google and social media is quite important. And then we start working on the different programs to get them chosen. So reputation management is a huge one let's get as many reviews as we can start getting right away. And then after that, we mainly with social media, a local community engagement program utilizing social media to get the word out with advertising. We would love to do TV and radio and all that, but a lot of our locations just don't have the budget whenever they come in. So we utilize really Facebook to target specific neighborhoods, and overlap that with the community engagement and sponsorship efforts. So that's the
Awesome.
and then of course, email marketing, direct mail, things like that. The automated campaigns to start, or like we try and start them with that day one. So
That's awesome. And then like right out of the gate, how do you increase their branding? Or because I know you had developed a mascot last year. And so how do you incorporate that into their branding and create a branding strategy for each new location? Is it different or how does that work in the franchise locations?
Great question. So it's our Coffee Cares community program, and Coffee, our beloved husky. So yes, so he's always existed, but we really wanted to focus on him and get our franchisees to start using him as the brand ambassador that he is. And so part of what we do is we leave it up to each franchisee to design it for what they care about. So Comfy cares about community engagement. So we work with each different owner to find out what their passion is and what they care about and what their community care about, because what we care about here in South Louisiana, it's a little different than Kalamazoo, Michigan. So, so we want to tailor it. And even though we're a franchise brand, it's critical for us that each franchisee stays locally owned and operated, and the community knows that they're locally owned and operated. And that even though they're part of a franchise system, we're just here for support to make sure they can provide the best expertise on a local level.
Yeah, you'd mentioned that it's like what they care about in Louisiana might be different than Michigan. So I worked in franchising for a little while doing marketing. It was more on like the digital side. And it was always a challenge, for any of the tactics or any strategies or anything to make sure that it's, unique and relevant to that local area. Are there any strategies or any particular like campaigns or tactics that you all have run that consistently do well, regardless of what market it's in?
Let's see. Great question. I would say anything revolving the community engagement aspect, because we create seasonal campaigns for our franchisees. And again, we build it out about 90% of the way, where we give them the framework of, so for instance, this past January, one of the campaigns we did was cool comforts, warm beginnings. Let's do a blanket drive or a coat drive. So it was basically a coat drive. Well, some locations they care about, one is partnering with the Animal Rescue Ranch. They modified it to collect blankets and bedding for the rescue shelters. Another one focuses on Habitat for Humanity. So they collected new linens and goods for the new homes instead. One focuses on sponsorships for kids. So they did a Coats for Kids. So each franchise can modify what we do to fit specifically within their community. And we have a lot of technology and AI to help them customize it quite quickly and easily so they can insert their local essence into it. But honestly, Comfy is universal, and so everybody loves our brand ambassador. So pretty much anything we use with Comfy, everybody pretty much relates to him. So
People love dogs.
they love them, dogs and babies. Dogs
And babies.
dogs and babies, it's what sells. So that works in all 50 states.
Probably internationally too. They're like, oh, a dog.
Right? Even Ohio loves dogs.
Yeah, most definitely. So running, a locksmith and then running a HVAC, I'm sure you're encountering different challenges. And as we go into the summer, we in HVAC have unique challenges. And so what are you finding as you grow the franchises when it comes into, the summer challenges and in all marketing efforts like recruiting, retention, churn, membership, all these things, acquiring new members? Tell me about summer and how it's planned out.
Yeah, our biggest issue I see with our locations is that summer gets so busy for the owners. They are so busy working in the business, they stop working on the business. So that is one of our biggest critical factors that we're constantly trying to remind them to do. No, you still got to go to the events. You can't just not do anything for 3 months because it will hurt you 6 months from now.
Mm-hmm.
So really that is the biggest, what we see in the marketing side of just them being able to keep implementing the marketing programs, because we have a large variety of. And so again, what we do is if they can't afford to hire in-house, we've actually partnered with another marketing agency to they work as basically a fractional chief marketing officer. And there's levels of packaging, so they can take whatever thing that they're not getting to and outsource it to make sure it's still getting done. And we've set it up to where it's not a contract basis, it's month to month, so they can use it as they need it, which works really well with HVAC. So.
Yeah, it works really well. And I'm sure that you're also working with recruiting marketing, because if they're 3 to 5, summer hits, all of a sudden they have all this demand, right? Yeah. You're like, okay, recruiting is a huge part. So how do you go after recruiting technicians to work at a franchise location?
So we have a great recruitment partner. We are partnered with a company called Jazz HR. And so they've been a partner of ours for quite a while and work very closely with them. And then we, it's a lot of referral marketing and just grassroots and getting to know the community and knowing and also knowing and partnering with different HVAC companies. So not everybody is a competitor, and it's stronger when you work together, because this company may have overflow and they may experience a lull and don't want to lose a good employee. So it's really working within the home service community and working together instead of looking at us as competition. So, and then of course finding talent, trade schools, recruitment. We have some of our locations that care about trade schools and investing in high schools and training and education. So it's recruitment is one of our toughest issues across the board. Some locations are absolutely painful just because the lack of labor. So it's a huge industry problem, which we're all working against. So
I think it's always been a huge industry problem, right? And it's like you have to create a bench, and then you have to, what we found was you had to create a university. And so those people in the university would be training for, at that time, it was 6 weeks. I think they changed it to 4 weeks, but it was like, those were our bench because we always knew that there would be churn, especially in technicians or in the call center. Those have the heaviest churn, especially during the summer when they realize what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
They're like, it's how hot up here? Like, what is happening?
And that's a little tough. So like our more established locations are moving into that model because they are able to, but our newer locations, it's quite a challenge because, they're growing. They don't have the resources yet to establish their bench. And so that's why partnering with other locations and again, just networking and being a good part of the community is, it's huge. So
huge. And learning from others, like you've been to a marketing event with me, and the first thing I say is there is no competition, right? And I mean that because there is no competition. Like, we need to have these open discussions and we need to help each other because we're better together. But at the same time, like, I don't want to be in a sinking ship alone.
Right.
Right.
Right. And we'll take all the help we can get, and we constantly give as much help as we get constantly. So,
and I love that you have summits of your own, right? You bring your community together. And I think, that's a great part about being a franchise, but how do you continue that monthly? How do they have special calls that they meet with each other? Tell me more about your conferences.
Sure. So we have an annual conference every year. We usually piggyback off of Pantheon. So we usually have it right before or right after. So to encourage, like, hey, go around all these other experts too. So we have that once a year. And then we also have weekly franchise calls, like coaching calls. So that's once a week where they talk about operations, sales, CSR. Then they also have every single franchisee has a weekly operations call or a weekly marketing call. So hence my voice. I've been prepping for summer. I've been on about 60 hours of Zoom calls in the last 3 weeks.
Wow.
2 weeks. So we're not a traditional franchise in the sense that we provide a lot of extraordinary support because I know when I worked for Curves, it was impossible to get anyone on the phone. A lot of times you had to pay extra to have a direct support system. And so for us, they have access to the entire support team's Calendly links, my cell phone number, and they have direct access to any part of any member of our team at any point in time. So in addition to weekly calls, they can get us as much as they want us. And then we also work with a lot of different vendors. Several of them are partnered with Service Titan, but we work with a lot of different vendors that also have webinars and weekly calls. So continuing education is so important for us. And then we also have an RSS feed system. We communicate via message boards constantly with all of our franchisees. So we're trying to get them as much information as we possibly can, as often as we can get it. And as a system, we can always see what people are needing the most because we monitor their KPIs for them. And so we can see where it's falling under benchmark. And so that's how we know what to train on and what to help with. So.
And how important are the numbers when running a franchise kind of business? And then how do you be proactive, but also react? Because you have to pivot quickly. So how does that happen in a franchise?
Slowly, unfortunately. It's a much harder to turn the whole ship all at once than just a single location. So something that we've actually developed and that everyone is so proud of here is that we've seen one of the biggest critical flaws in the model, was falling off was a conversion, CSR conversion. They were, again, so busy working in the business, they weren't answering the phone, or it was going to voicemail. And that is the quickest way to just burn marketing spend is not following up on leads. And so we now have an internal call center. They actually across the hall from me. And so we work very closely with our shared services department. And so they provide the CSR. So we have Temperature Pro now. We handle all the calls for our franchisees, and it has made a dramatic difference. So yeah, so that was one of the major KPIs that we've seen that we're like, okay, we need to do something, because we were providing all the necessary training and that, but again, with CSR turnover, with they're so new, and it's small business ownership is hard. I mean, it is hard, and so we're trying to provide as much as we can for them. So that's kind of the direction that we're going.
How does the shared services model work in a franchise business, like a shared services model for like a CSR department? Do the franchisees contribute to the cost, or like they have to pay a monthly amount for the shared services, or is that like covered by corporate?
Yeah.
Franchise?
So with us, they pay a monthly fee for it, and again, it's no contract; it's month to month. And so, but it is a fourth of the cost of hiring a person, and they don't have to manage or delegate that person or train that person. And so we see to all of it, and it's much easier on us. It's much easier on the franchisee. And really, we don't really use it as even as a profit center. So we try and keep the costs as low as we possibly can, because we have royalties for that. So that's another thing with our franchise system, is that there's no hidden fees. It's royalties, and that's it. There's no extra fees for anything. So for it, if there is an extra fee like this, then we don't make profits on it. Like we keep it as close to break even as we can.
Yeah. Because in the end, it's going to hit the bottom line the right way, right?
And so that's why, we look at it like we're partners, because home service is so personal. You're going into people's homes. So we want to treat our franchisees the same way. We want relationships with our franchisees, not transactional. And so we try and practice with what we preach. They need to offer the most excellent customer experience possible. And so we try and make sure we do the same thing at the franchisor level for our franchisees. So, and so that's how we work with all of our vendors too. So the first thing is that we live by 3 rules. Is it good for the franchisee? Is it good for the vendor? Is it good for System Forward? And if it answers yes to all 3, then we have a winning combination. So everybody wins.
Yeah. I love that. Always going back to what are the 3 foundational questions that we always ask ourselves when we partner, and that just keeps the culture aligned, right? Like the mission, the North Star that you're all reaching for is to serve others, and you have to be aligned with serving each other before you can serve others. So
correct.
Yeah. It also prevents the franchisees from getting a little rowdy.
Well, there's always the one. 1 or 2 or 3. You love them all, but there's always the one.
What's your rowdy experience, Eric and Jill? Tell me about it.
Well, when I was at Mosquito Joe, the franchisees strongly disliked the direct mail program that we had put together at the franchisor level, and they would get pretty rowdy about it every year. I think it's over with now. I don't know, but it was for a while. I remember there was a gaggle of franchisees that were getting pretty rowdy about it, not very happy.
Well, what was the rowdy part? Was it because it was expensive, or because they got returned mail back, or?
Yeah, it was expensive. They could get it cheaper probably through a third party, and so they would get rowdy and go rogue, and the reason we didn't want them to go rogue is because they would go rogue and then they would go off brand, and that's when it would be bad. But
Right.
yeah, it's probably just because it was a cost thing.
Right. And yeah, so going off brand, it's man, what I've seen them do to logos. I'm like, and so everybody thinks I'm the brand police over here because I'm just like, for the love of God, stop using pixelated imagery.
Yeah.
We're like, but we just took a screenshot and then we posted it and it's totally fine.
I'm like, yeah. And it's like, and also like fonts really matter, people. Like, seriously.
They do.
But yeah, no, like, oh, my team just won the Super Bowl. Let's go make our logo, purple and gold. Go Tigers. I'm like, oh, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And you have specific brand guidelines. Like you created a brand book, right? And you launched it last year, I remember. So
We have no, so that the one you seen, Sarah, was just the mascot brand guide.
oh God.
Our real brand guide is about 40 pages long, and it's very specific, and it's very specific, but and also it has a lot of flexibility for localization as well. So it's whenever they say no to Comic Sans, people,
Yeah.
Fonts.
That's
Yeah.
good.
font. What we see here.
Yes. And I have a question. Like, what advice would you give someone that's looking to go into marketing in the franchise business?
Great question. And the scalability, to know how to market for scalability is unique. It is extremely unique. So, because again, we have franchisees that implement a lot of wonderful, genius marketing things, and whenever we see something that works, to be able to scale it to where it works nationwide and in a format that can work for everyone's skill set and level. And so because somebody that's just starting, that maybe you'll get $1 million in revenue in year one versus somebody that's been operating for a few years and is at $5 million in revenue, they have different skill sets and resources. So to be able to scale any type of marketing or program to fit all of our franchisees' needs, that's the biggest skill. And so it's very process oriented and and implementation. So you can't just do something, you have to explain how to do it. So it's more of it's different from an agency, whereas agencies they go do all the fun marketing. But for us, we're mainly teaching, not only doing it and implementing it, but also having to convince and teach and show and then help implement. And so franchising, it's definitely a challenge. That's why but I fell in love with it. Entrepreneurship, seeing how somebody can take a recipe and make it their own and be successful and rinse and repeat. So
Yeah. That's great advice. Everything needs a process, a system. It needs to be scalable and it needs to be repeatable. That and actionable, right? It's like SMART goals, but like aligned with processes and systems as well. Like everything, I need to measure it. I need to take action on it. And it definitely, and I even tell people at Service Titan, they're like, well, why are you documenting this? And I'm like, because it needs to be repeatable. And if I'm not there or someone else is not there, then who can implement, right? Like and so it's not just the trades that have that, it's technology. It's every company, you need to be as automated and efficient, and that's the business growth. And so that's what the pain points that I just see in general in business.
Yeah,
most definitely.
300 with franchising.
Yeah, like times like 5,000. You're like, oh, okay, like, yeah. And then are they competing with one another? Like, how do you know, like, how do the smaller ones compete with the larger ones? And do they feel, because feelings and emotions, like we're in the people and experiences business, right? So they're there, but like, how do they they work with one another when one is big and one might be small?
Great question. We have several advisory committees and mentorship committees with franchisees. So we have like our core group of franchisees that have seen tremendous success, whether it's with operations or marketing. And kudos to those franchisees and that volunteered their time to mentor and coach our new ones. But we also have awards that we give every year, and at the annual meeting we give awards to try and get them to like, hey, do you want to win this award next year? And who's the best of the best? And it gets really interesting because all of our franchisees they are all competitive. They wouldn't be in the position that they're in and opening their own business if they weren't competitive and go-getters. And so it's fun watching them compete and hit milestones and try and outdo each other. So it's impressive to watch. Because I'm in awe of all of our franchisees. Like our franchisees, they are just such a good group of people. And so being surrounded by such smart people all the time, it's fun. Very fun.
Yeah, most definitely.
Jill, is there anything that we haven't covered yet that you were hoping to chat about?
Tell me about AI. How are you implementing that?
AI. So yeah, that's been an interesting project because our first thing is integrations, because it's not just one website to one tenant. We have 35 franchisees utilizing one website and going to Enterprise Hub on all the separate tenants and all the direction, like to just set up all that, and then just getting as most efficient as we possibly can with all that. And then with AI, so cool. The last marketing summit that we went to, after that, we built a temperature robot. And so now our temperature robot, it is so cool. We use AI, like all of our Zoom calls are AI transcript generated, and now it feeds directly into our temperature robot. So the next phase of this is trying to figure out like how to duplicate it and give it to the franchisees so they can implement their local information into the bot. But we want to make sure it stays updated. So we're trying to figure out how to duplicate that at the local level. So again, we always have to take it a step further. Like anytime we pilot something, anytime we find something new, we find a location to pilot it at, we make sure it works here. And then normal businesses just start using it and implement, whereas us, we have to figure out how to scale it and how to implement it across 40 locations. So it makes life interesting.
Yeah, most definitely. Have you guys thought about when you integrate working with a company that does like automation and task for you? So I know Titan Pro Technologies, like they're an easy one that will help you with Service Titan and set all that up fast.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so that's our phase 2.
Got it. Yep.
So
and these companies just come about, right? They're like, oh, we love Zapier. And I'm like, oh my gosh, if I could zap away my life, I totally would, right?
Oh, yeah. It's like a big dark hole. Like like you get into it and then you keep digging and you uncover the next thing and uncover the next thing and then it's 5 hours later and you're like, I have all these things that I need to do. And so yeah, we have like our list grows every day. I'm like, oh my God, we can do this. So as soon as we do that, we're like, oh my God, so now we can do this. and so it's just a never ending. How do we build? How do we build? How do we grow? How do we give them the next thing? So podcasting and TikToking is next. We provide a bunch of content and support for Facebook. So that's the next thing that we're adding. The franchisees don't even know it yet. So I hope they don't watch this till after September. So, but we're adding in TikTok and podcasting support. So we're currently building that here at the corporate level. So Eric, I'm going to hit you up eventually. You're on my list to contact for that.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Podcasting is so many contractors, I think, are missing out right now by not doing it. Especially like we had Jim on a couple weeks ago, Jim Clark, and he was sharing some of the stuff they're doing with podcasting too. And I'm like, it's just such easy, low hanging fruit for like content marketing.
Yeah, it is. And so now we're trying to figure out, okay, how do we create a podcast at the or national level that would be relevant for local marketing, that would get work in their local market and benefit them from an SEO perspective in their local market. So that's what we're developing now. So it's
Nice.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So like we get to work on so many cool projects here, and our CEO is absolutely fantastic because he just gives me a green light for whatever. He's like, "Go do your thing." So it's fun.
That's the best kind of marketing job to have, where you have a budget, and approval. You're just like, oh boy, that's dangerous.
Yeah.
My budget's never big enough though.
No.
Ever.
No. But I think it's important for marketers to have full autonomy to do their jobs.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's so appreciative, because I've been in companies where, it might not have been like, it's very micro and detailed. But at the same time, like from my perspective, when I work with my employees, I'm just like, yeah, no, you have autonomy to do your job, but then you still have to hold them accountable to that. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And so for us, the franchisees are the ones that hold us accountable. So in franchising, if the franchisees are not happy, then no one's happy. So.
Yep. And as a marketer, how do you manage your mental health?
Let's see. That's crazy.
Like, that's too personal.
Well, I'm just trying to keep it G-rated. No, my kiddo, being with my daughter, she's about to be 10, and we're a huge Disney family. We love Disney. So watching Disney videos, and we leave in 5 days for a mommy me trip. So that's going to be fun.
Nice.
Yeah. And then a lot of family time, cooking, and wine, a lot of wine and caffeine.
Yeah.
You're not alone. We all understand.
Yeah.
But luckily, I have a very awesome support group and family. So my mom and dad, we still go to their house every Sunday for dinner. You should not miss. So all the sisters with the cousins, and then also my in-laws, we go there once a week for dinner still. And so family is just very, very important. We have such good friends and family in my network. So that's what keeps me grounded and sane.
I love that. And what's one of the most rewarding aspects of your role?
When franchisees are successful, whenever we see them, like we just opened a location the other day, and his very first week, he got $50,000 in revenue. And just to see that, or we had one location that after years, we finally got him to do his, so we went and actually did it for him, his open estimate campaign, and they sold a $10,000 system off of a quote that they had 2 years prior. And so seeing those little marketing wins with our franchisees, and one of the best ones was the other day, one of our locations, she's like, oh my gosh, she said, we're popular. She's like, I'm finally starting to see it turn around, and we're so booked. We're booked 3 weeks out. How did this happen? When did this happen? And I'm like, it's all you. You spent the last 2 years implementing all these best practices, and she's finally seeing the rewards of it. And that is reward enough for me, is, when you can see so many other people successful, that makes my heart happy. Because I'm like the mama grizzly bear over here that, makes sure all her people are taken care of. I want to see them win.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's giver's gain model, right? And we always want to see others win. I love that. And so I guess we'll wrap up this podcast. And I've loved chatting with you. It's, I love seeing you. But if others want to connect with you, how would they reach you, and how would they connect and learn more about System Forward America?
The best way, you can email me directly at jill@systemforward.com. And yeah, drop the last name on that one. So just
thank God.
They can email me directly, or they can go to systemforward.com and to learn more about all of our brands.
Awesome. Well, Jill, this has been an awesome episode. Thank you for taking some time out of your your busy schedule to chat with us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And let's have a very hot, record-breaking temperature hot summer.
Yes, I agree.
Let's go for it. Let's go HVAC.
Right. Let's go.
And for those listening, if you could please leave a review or leave us comments on our podcast, we would love if you just gave us feedback. We're always open and ready to listen. So thank you so much for listening to the Trademark, and we will see you next time.
Peace.
And that wraps up another episode of The Trademark, where we bridge the worlds of the trades and marketing, one story at a time. We can't wait to see you next time. Thank you to the trades for giving back big, loving big, and taking massive action. Don't forget to join us next time for more engaging conversations and innovative ideas. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a review and share it with your colleagues and friends in the trades and marketing. Your support means the world to us. Stay connected with us off the air by following us on social media. We'd love to hear your thoughts and get your feedback. Until next time, keep making your mark in the trades. Thank you for listening to The Trademark. Goodbye for now, and remember, we're with the trades for the trades.